knock with?
The gavel.
Oh,
The gavel.
I got one at home.
It's a color.
I got a sinus headache and just everything. I couldn't.
Test.
Oh, yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call the Community Relations Subcommittee meetings to order at 5:30 p.m. Subcommittee members, as I call your name, please say present for the record. Laura McIntyre. Claudia Perkin.
Present.
Myself, Joyce Ellis, and Mike Mills. At this time, we will hear comments from the public. We ask that you please raise your hand to be called upon. When called, please state your name and address before you begin speaking. You will have 3 minutes to address the committee and your concerns. And at this point, you don't have to raise your hand. You can just come up and line up. We want to make this very formal, so we're not going to be calling on people. You can just come up and speak and address your concerns and issue. This is our first community committee meeting, and we're going to make it a little bit different where we listen and do less talking. I want you to feel comfortable. We're trying something a little different, and we want to hear from you, and so we can kind of get us an idea how we will be doing our community relation committee meeting. So state your name, your address, and let the ball get the rolling. Let's go.
My name is Karma Lewis, 3216 ML King, and I am here to invite you to Flint Neighborhood United's monthly meeting. We meet on the first Saturday of the month. We will have a meeting this Saturday at the Flint Public Library, and our meetings start at 9:30 a.m. So this is your formal invitation.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate that, and we will have somebody there. Probably the Community Relation Committee would be there. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Percival Whitmore. I live at 6196 Sierra Pass, Flint, Michigan. I am here on the behalf of my nonprofit organization, Share the Keys nonprofit. I am here to basically give reverence and to propose my program for the city of Flint, being that this program is a nonprofit and impacting, it's a mentorship program. Currently at the Flint Cultural Center Academy, where I serve 15 young men, mentoring them, being able to help them be engaged in the classroom. I have my curriculum here. I have my workbook here, and I also have active data that I brought in from last year, 2022, and I also have the proposals that I've printed off for each one of you guys to be able to look over. So as far as that, I just want to speak my piece really quickly. As me being a young African-American male, being able to go through, seeing the community, seeing the things that we've been through, me personally, I've just been able to see the gap, right? I've seen the gap between how many generations are continuing their way, and then the younger generations are revolting from what has been. And when what has been is being able to pursue careers, being able to pursue and bridge this gap to be able to understand that they can pursue their dreams. They can be able to chase what they're trying to go after. Many a times, and this is what I'll leave off with, when many of the things that I host in my sessions is called a what do you see activity. And in this activity, I basically tell them to close their eyes, right? And so I asked them to close their eyes, and I asked them, what do they see? One of the things that the young man, it was an African-American man, he said that he saw, I told him to open his eyes, he said, I see a microphone. And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you see a microphone for? And basically he opened up and was vulnerable enough to share that he wanted to sing. And in the midst of these 15 young men, they're being able to be open, be vulnerable. And I'm proud to say at the Flint Cultural Center Academy, we just had a graduation 2 weeks ago where all of the young men graduated, and all of them have shown signs of improvement, and teachers and testimonials are all in these documents. So I just want to be able to share my time, be able to share these proposals, however that may go. If I could be able to do that, then that's all I have, okay? Thank you guys for this time.
You can pass your document over to our executive administration, Mrs. Beard.
These are the proposals, and then this is the active data that they can be able to look over. And also, this is a workbook that I have my, yeah, you can pass it around and see it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Good evening. My name is Jaleel X. I reside at 723 Dale Avenue in Flint, Michigan. I'm here today to address the board here concerning a proactive 3-year comprehensive plan with 3 phases to it that we offer to help our young youth in the school system to become more improved and better in the quality of their lives. Phase 1 of this program is called Building the Home, helping to improve the quality of life in the home. This includes, but is not limited to, nurturing proper and healthy values, single parenting help and personal growth, establishing of morals and values rooted in love and spirituality, helping to establish a universal community of peace where we all can live in peace. Love thyself training, because love for self will produce love for others, thus establishing a home of peace which will spread to the community around them. And building the will for self. Improvement, which is the basis for community development. That phase in phase 1, we consider to be the first thing to tackle, because we notice many of the programs deal directly with the youth, but these young people go home to an environment that you didn't deal with. And you think they're going to be strong enough with the will and what you put into them to fight what's around them, and they're just young people who consume or become consumed by the environment that they're in. So we believe that's something we should tackle first in offering in the training that we do. Phase 2 is we meet the youth where they are. This means, but is not limited to, investing in our youth to help improve the quality of their lives from a proactive curriculum, teach, train, and establish in our youth respect for authority, values, love, and morals that will produce rational decision-making and positive activity. Remove degenerate music and replace it with music that relates to the youth with mind-elevating lyrics, and make it fashionable to listen to elevated words. Cover, train, and educate on gun violence and peer counseling on how gun violence has affected our youth and strategies implemented to help ward off such. Encourage and guide our youth to be successful and listen to them and respect their ideas and thoughts. And finally, phase 3 is the economic blueprint that covers but is not limited to skilled trades training, financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and economic independence, teaching on how to invest, purchase real estate, and create generational wealth, relate education to everyday life with usable skills, how to strategize, organize, and energize the youth in goal settings, carrying out the stages to reach their goals and being purposeful in striving for success. So I'll be giving all of you a copy of this. I didn't have it with me, but I'm going to get your emails and stuff to send you a copy so you can look at it, and I appreciate the time to be able to state this to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jaleel.
Good evening. My name is Jason Baldwin. I'm with Red Line Security Guard and Investigations. We're at 4225 Miller Road in Flint, Michigan. I'm here just to represent and present our company to want to be a part of the community as we deal with violence in schools. We are a security company. We are for profit, but we are a community organization that deal directly with students in a, not in a combative or punitive measure, but in a restorative and a measure that deals directly with the community. We use techniques of conflict resolution and restorative justice to make sure that our children are not punished for the behaviors that may stem beyond the school, but maybe from a home base, but maybe we can make a difference and make sure that they are not punished for their behaviors, but it can actually create an environment where the schools are places of learning. And I would also like to say that we, in light of the recent events that's taken place in schools where there have been violence from outside of the schools coming into schools because of people who are in the community who may have problems, we take an approach that we are very diligent in looking at what's going on in the community, making sure that the staff and the faculty are safe as they come to do their jobs. And we are just looking for opportunities in the schools to make sure, make sure that we can be of assistance to the teachers and the faculty as they try to rear our children. Thank you very much.
Do you have any information you want to leave?
Yes, ma'am, I have copies. If anyone wants to read those copies, I'll make sure I give them to you. Yes, ma'am.
Any paperwork, you can always just leave it with our administrator.
Yes, ma'am.
Andre Muhammad. As a follow-up, my address is 2301 Brownell Boulevard, Flint, Michigan. I'm working also with the security company brother just mentioned. I don't know why I just draw a blank, but it's Red Line Investigations, Security Investigations. Now, please be patient with me because I did suffer from COVID. And one of the number one things that I suffer from is brain fog. Y'all can laugh at me if you want to, but I'm struggling through this. But I just want to bring to your attention what we're offering the Board of Education. Our company is trying to deal intimately with our children. We want to make sure that we put our mind and heart on our babies as they learn. We want to give them a good learning environment. We want to make sure that somebody is not just trying to make a dollar on your behalf, but somebody who's actually caring. You know, I've been in this community serving in a non-official capacity. I've done a lot of charity in the way of security, and I'm a common face in our community. So if you would also give us an opportunity once again, that's Red Line Security and Investigations. Please consider us. Many of these people who are coming at you are going to be nonprofit organizations. We are for-profit, and we're willing to work with anybody as we share the vision to making our community a safe and decent place to live in. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Norman Bryant, former board member and president of this board, from 1991 to 97, president 1996 and 1997. And the reason I'm here tonight is to speak on behalf of the renaming of the Flint Public Library. I don't know whether people realize this or not, but when I was on the board oversaw the library, the cultural center, and WFBE radio station, okay? Now, the reason I want this renamed, not so far as me, because I'm at the age right now, I'll probably die calling it the Flint Public Library. I want these young folks to know what's going on. And the reason I asked you to make this decision is because, excuse me, because Gloria Coles was the first black library director that this city ever had. And now, let's turn this thing around a little bit. What if that library had to close up? The first thing they'd say, as soon as the black get it, the library closed up. The library was closing before Gloria Coles got it. But you know what she did? She went for millage and saved that library. I went to the library board meeting and I told those people on the board, you wouldn't even have a board that wouldn't be for Gloria Coles. Now, the other thing I want to mention to the fact too is this, is that I don't know if you people know about the story in the Bible where they say there wasn't no room in the inn. Well, I talked to Gloria Coles, and I organized the Greater African American Sports Hall of Fame, and I told her we was running out of room at Burston Fieldhouse. You know what she told me? She said, Mr. Bryant, I don't have no room in the library, but you can use my basement. And for 20-something years, we've been over to the Flint Public Library. And the lady that's over there right now, her name is Kay Swartz, she's a library director. She got a millage from the city and a grant from my foundation and the community foundation. They did a $30 million renovation. They bought the Hall of Fame from the basement to the second floor. And any of you who haven't been over there, you need to go over there and take a look at it. But I'm pushing hard because she has done something for this community that we need to, and these young kids need to be taught that. I don't care how you slice the pie, you can't do away with history. And we got to make sure it happens. If we don't make sure it happens, who's going to make sure it happens? So I plead with you, and I hope that it's on your mind that we rename that library. We're not talking about changing the library. We're just talking about renaming the library. I drove down Pasadena Avenue, and they got that library is named William Delaney Library. So I stopped there and I asked, how did you people rename this library? They said, oh, it was up to the board. They did the naming. So if the board can do that, I don't know, how many schools do we have in the district now? 11? Let me show you what you had in there when I was in the school district. Can somebody take this? We must have had close to 60 schools, and every school had a community school director. But my biggest problem is I've been trying to get a meeting with the superintendent. I guess you got to have a title to get a meeting with him.
It's point of information. Your time is up. Everybody got 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We're asking that you stay, and we're gonna have plenty more
no.
discussion. Don't go anywhere, because we got some other things we want to add to what you're saying.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Good afternoon. And to the board, my name is Reverend Freelon Threlkel Jr., 214 East Pulaski. Ditto, ditto, ditto to the previous speaker. On behalf of the committee of community people that were concerned about our Flint Public Library, realizing how the members of the library trustees or whatever they are, so many numbers were represented or appointed by the school board, and then so many of the members are appointed by the city council. But tonight, I understand that this request or resolution is on the docket for the school board. Now, I don't know, behind these masks, I don't know who's who, but, oh, Lord, yeah. Dr. Jones? All right, praise the Lord. Now, but I also want to support on behalf of our committee, Dr. Deloney, who is present in our audience tonight, and Brother DeJuan Robertson and others. But we were concerned about, and Brother Bryant has laid the foundation that what Mrs. Cole had done in the past. And after $34 million worth of taxpayers' renovation money, I think somebody of color should be on that library, both sides, west side and south side. And right above Flint Public Library should go Gloria Cole, Flint Public Library. Since Brother Norm had said so much about that, I'm going to move on now to direct to the Board of Education. As a product of Flint Public Education, graduating from Flint Central in 1960, Flint was known, the public school system was known as a model throughout the nation of Flint Public Schools. And you have a great responsibility, especially superintendent and also the other staff members and the school teachers. But Flint was so tight that I recommend that we look at having community directors. I think we only have one high school. Is that Flint Southwestern? Which I call number 2 Central, because they gerrymandered my junior class so that Southwestern could have a graduating class in 1960. So we need to stop playing politics and politricks, and it's time that as elected officials, I'm glad to see Sister Claudia Perkins, that elected official, well, as I close, that you all really prayerfully consider the north end of Flint. God bless you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good
My
evening.
name is Tamara Crowder Isom.
Could
I'm
you-
here on behalf of our babies. Every time you go to a school, you got kids that's cussing, fighting the teachers, throwing chairs. Instantly, when I come in, I can get them stopped. The teachers can't do that because they trying to do their job, and in the process of doing that, you got some more kids acting out. But whenever I'm in the school, I make sure I stop them. A lot of people always say, I'll be saying, how you doing? I'm trying to stay out their way. Why? We need to get in front of them. We need to try to stop them whenever something going on. I got a whole community. I don't allow none of these kids in my neighborhood to be cussing. I don't allow them to fight each other. If I go up to the schools, it's the same thing. But we got to figure out something. That's even with the kids that get suspended. If we do like an in-school suspension, the kids that's suspended, there's so many of them that get suspended. I believe they parents, you can let a parent. If it's 30 kids that get suspended, get a parent for each day. One of their parents to come and sit in with these kids. Because at this point, the kids don't have no fear. They're not even scared of authority. They just come in and do what they want to do. But when they feel that somebody, a lot of them just don't know. If they don't know, they just continue to act out. But when you stop them, I see any kid, my kid's age, you cussing, stop cussing, you see me? They automatically be like, I apologize. So we got to figure out something to do with these kids. So that's why I'm here. So any way that I can help or any suggestions that anybody have, I'm believing like if we can just get some activities going besides sports, if we can get the young girls to do, they really need adequate, because they don't know. They need adequate, some type of sewing, some kind of home economics. If we can get some wood, some auto mechanic, something. If everybody can participate, not saying that we can volunteer for our kids, for our babies. Even with the, everybody want to fight. Even with if we can just talk to the parents and let them know that it ain't okay for your kids to have a phone all the time. Some things is okay, but not all the time. Let's try to monitor something. But even if we can get the parents to come in and then we can sit down and come up with some solutions. Because when there's solutions, we as parents and adults, we have to, when they got a problem, we got to have a solution for them. So that's all I'm saying. If we can all get together and somebody can try to come up with something, I'm willing, and I'll pull other people in too. Thank you, guys. I appreciate y'all for y'all time.
Excuse me, you got contact information?
I do. You want me to write it down?
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?
Good afternoon. My name is Gloria Parker, 2104 Miller Road. She was talking about a solution. I am a case manager, and I work with Referee House. I work with homeless youth. And so what I have understand that a lot of our kids don't know. So I think some kind of a solution would be start a life skill and training. Give them some type of life skill and have someone, just let that be part of the, in school they come there and you teach them because they really don't know. So you teach the young lady how to be young ladies, teach the young men how to be young men, wherever the life skill they need, is because they're not getting it. But if we constantly talking about it all the time, and we have a group, and have a group like a daily group every day, because with my youth, I stress that respect. I stress. We talk about simple thing as how to write a check. You'll be surprised, things that we take for granted, they really don't know. And just, for instance, is one young lady, it kind of made me sad. She didn't know, I told her to go in the store and get a money order 55 cents. And she came out the store and she was crying. She's not crying, she was upset. She said, making fun of me. I said, why they making fun of you? She said, I gave them 55 cents for the money order. She didn't know that she had to put money on the money order. It's just a little small thing that we take for granted. They really don't know. They have not been taught nothing. And so I said, don't cry. So you have to put the money on it and give them 55 cents for the money order. But she really didn't know. It's just like, just the little things, just the little small things that make a difference. And so we need to just start a class like that, a life skilling class.
Thank you so much. Anyone else from the public would like to speak? Take your time.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is E. Hill Deloney, Post Office Box 443, Flint, Michigan 48501. I am here to ask for your support and your agreement with the Flint Board of Education, with the Library Board, to agree and approve to be partners or agreement with it took the two of you to be able to do, two organizations, to make that happen, to be Gloria Cole Library. I think what is bothering me the most is I had to go to either one of those boards with all of your members on there to ever have to make a presentation. We have a Black History Month because at one time we had no history, and all the history they taught was as if we were savages and 3/5 of a human being. And I grew up in that era. I was born in there. But I was born with all Black teachers, all school teachers. Everybody in my life was Black. We had what we call a culture buffer. Every parent in that community kept us from going across that line to not to be killed. I was there when Emmett Till was killed. But when I grew up, everybody told me how precious I was, that I should love myself, love my neighbor. And I was taught that every Black person in the world was related to me. My dad caught us sneaking like little kids do, and he said, oh, you talking about that lady down the street? My brother, I said, oh, yes, sir. Daddy said, he didn't say anything, and he said, that's your cousin at the time. And as being about 8 or 9 years old, I don't know how long it was, but in my mind now, it seemed like a long time. Daddy came back and said, you remember you was talking about that lady? Of course, we scared now, we think we'll get in trouble. Daddy said, I don't know if it's your cousin or not. I said, but it could be, because our history and cultural history, everybody, when they broke up our families, you don't know who you're related to. So to treat everybody as Black especially, as if they were a cousin. And you can't hate any other people, you can hate their ways, but not them.
Amen.
And I grew up listening to people telling me that. And I got to go to where people now were in power, and when I was in college, I got to pay all corn. Because we were fighting against Dr. White, because he was working with the Citizen Council. I never went back, but my dad was about to kill me. But the bottom line is you have to fight for what you believe. And if you love yourself and want people to know about your history, and there's 1,000 inventions we did, only Black people, I shouldn't have to make this. You should make that agreement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mother. If anyone from the public would like to speak, you can come and stand over here to the side.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
appreciate everybody coming out. My name is DeJuan Robinson, live at 2712 North Saginaw Street. And just speaking on behalf of our youth, I think, you know, all of us care about our children in this community. I think this is our village. When we show up as one, we show up to do the work. I appreciate all of you all who come here every day to make a decision that's going to impact our young people's lives. And all we have to do is kind of find ways to garner our energy, but then work together to create a robust community school district, which I believe in. I do believe in these youth, right? We do got some special young people, they geniuses. Sometimes just need a little guidance. And it takes a special force really to kind of bring that out. And I think nevertheless, man, we doing that, right? So for me, myself, I did want to speak in support of the Rites of Passage program, which has been at the Flint Public Schools, at Flint Junior High, Southwestern, Scott, which is ALA. This is my former school here. So, you know, my thing is always continue on with the young people. Right now, we're currently serving at Flint Culture Center Academy, but I love to come back to Flint Public Schools, right? As being a product, as being a young person from here, from growing up in this community, seeing the many transitions that we have taken place, we just want to bring that back. And so it's going to take us collectively working together to be the difference, to see the difference, and utilizing the guidance that we have with our elder leadership, but being one. So let's continue to make those things happen. I know we can go on and on about different things that we want to see in this community, but whatever we do today is going to define our tomorrow. On another note, I do want to definitely pledge the support for the Gloria Coles Flint Public Library. That woman is a champion. I think when we talk about our young people, them seeing black people's name on these buildings, right? It's inspiring, right? She can inspire all these young girls that's out here that want to be something. So it's going to take that type of inspiration. We've been working with the Flint Public Library over the past year to be able to make this thing happen. So now I know that it's in your all hands to make that decision. And I know that we all going to make the best decision for our community. So once again, y'all doing a phenomenal job. I know it's very tough to do these type of things and make decisions. We do have the funds to be able to do something, and we appreciate that. So in all possibilities, let's make it happen.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Good
My
evening.
name is Marjorie Childress, and my address is Flint, Michigan. I am a parent, and I am a grandparent, and I'm coming on behalf of some of our parents. And one of the things I would love to see our schools really help address is the mental and the trauma. I often say if you want to really help heal a community, you have to start with the mind of the people. And what I see and what I hear and what I've experienced myself is a lot of times we try to help people with everything except for the real issue. So when it comes to education, when it comes to community involvement, when it comes to parent participation, people have to feel wanted, they have to feel needed, they have to have the motivation, they have to have the encouragement. And most of y'all already know, it's not no secret, it's not a surprise, our people are traumatized. And the sad part is a lot of our people are in denial. And that goes from people at the head, at the top, with the bachelor degree, all the way down to the janitor. We're putting Band-Aids on infections. And if you have money, use that money to invest in the minds of the people, in the brains of the people. You got scientists that believe that the brain can heal itself. A lot of our people don't even know that we really can heal ourselves if we change a lot of things that we do. Some of our parents, again, don't like going out asking for help. But if we can encourage them and set up a program, I heard one of the young ladies say this, but if we could set up a program for the parents where it's like going fishing. Some fish eat bugs, some eat other fish, some eat worms. Some of these parents is different. You might have to manipulate in a good way to pull them into your circle to help them to trust you, and it might take some money. I'm saying that from experience because I was one of those parents that y'all didn't want to fool with. I'm nice now, but I see who I was with a lot of these parents, and if their mindset is what I'm gonna get out of it. They're in survival mode, a lot of the younger ones. They're trying to worry about their bills, what they gonna eat, what they gonna buy. So their mind is somewhere else. How can we get their mind back in? Guess what? They love money. I know a lot of people don't believe that, but if you really want to make a change and you want to invest, use the money to invest in the mind. I'm not going to stay here long because I know how I go, but please, please, a lot of them are suffering and they don't even know. So if we can just kind of help get that going on, some kind of family treatment program, I believe we'll see a better change. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I want to thank everybody for your comments. This is my passion. And I want to let you know that you all in this audience demonstrate the love that you have for the Flint Community School and our community. The people you see sitting at this table has the same love. We talk about this all the time. Mr. Jones is gonna talk to you about some of the things this is our superintendent, Mr. Kevin Jones. This is Assistant Superintendent, for who don't know, Ms. Kiana Murphy. And we've been going to some of the agenda items. And I had asked Mr. Jones to come in, and he's gonna talk about what their community partnership agreement looks like. Community forum, do you wanna talk about the ESSER as well and tie those two together?
I can.
Okay,
Sure.
so I'm going to turn this over to our superintendent right now.
Okay.
Because we really appreciate you and you demonstrate which way, and don't forget MDE.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So first of all, thank you all for your comments. I know that this board, in conversations with this board, really, really, truly looks forward to next week when we have the opportunity to speak about the library. Myself, I had an opportunity to speak with Director Swartz. We're all excited. So I don't want any of the public to think that this board or the superintendent or any of our staff is not excited about the opportunity that stands before us. It's historic, and we have heard you, and our board, I believe that our board is going to make the best decision for our community. So I look forward to being a part of the history being made in Flint Community Schools, along with the Flint Library. So I wanted to address that because I don't want anyone to be confused about the fact that I think we all have a similar feeling about the work of Miss Gloria Cole. We are definitely aware, and we've had the opportunity to read upon that. So when it comes to our community partnership, we want to make sure, number one, that as we have onboarded, that's what the word I was looking for, onboarded new board members and our board members, our senior board members, that everyone's aware of the community partnership that we have. That's number one. We have gone through an election. We had a lot of change that took place. And so now we can begin to, as we are onboarding and making sure that everyone understands what our board from last year has approved and how we're going to move forward with that. We've been talking to our board about making sure that everyone's up to speed so that when things come across the board for adoption or approval, that no one's in the dark about what it is that we need to do. We're excited about some partnerships. I wrote some things down, and one of the ones I heard today that is not in Flint schools that I assume was Rites of Passage, because that was such an effective program. But I do want to point out, Dr. McNeil, is that this is a time of what we call, when title funds, this is the time where we're trying to spend dollars. They're restricted, but spend dollars in our title funds that directly affects the education of our scholars. And if I'm not mistaken, some of the programs that I even heard today could possibly be, more involved, but you got to speak to the principals about that. And so those of you who have programs that we can definitely use to support scholars' academics, it is important that we link you with our director of academics so she can link you with the principal, and then we can go from there, but the principals do make that final decision with title funds. As it pertains to our community partnership, we have an open door to discuss, as we have with several community members, the opportunity for those programs that you have to come into the district. However, when we're using federal funds in any way, shape, or form, there are other measures we must take to ensure that those programs are viable. Those programs have been tried and tested to use federal funds. And so it's not as simple as us just saying, all right, you have a program, come on in and let's start this program. We have to make sure, my money person over there with grants, we have to make sure that we go through the proper channels to do that. And so now that we have a solid board and everyone's getting on the same page, I think we will be able to start those conversations back up and get some things moving, Dr. McNeil. And so to tie in the conversation of community forum to discuss ESSER funds, ARPA dollars, coming up here February 9th, 4 o'clock in this room, the administration will be giving an update to our community on ESSER funding. We're going to be talking about what we spent our funds on, the opportunities moving forward. We'll also be talking about our renovations. Currently, Flint Community Schools, we're under renovation. We're renovating some buildings. We are renovating some parking lots. And we're getting new furniture for our scholars in the classroom. I'm going to clap for that. I'm going to clap for that. Our scholars deserve that, and they deserve a lot more. So we will be talking about that and showing you what that looks like. And then finally, many of you probably have heard that we're going into a partnership agreement with MDE, Michigan Department of Education. And so the question that I was posed was, what can our parents, what can our community do to support that partnership? The number one thing that I believe that our parents can do, there's 3 areas that they're going to be focusing on to get our schools out of the partnership. One is an increase in literacy scores, an increase in math scores, and finally, which is a big one, attendance. I believe that our parents can impact a whole lot with just making sure scholars are in school. And if there's any barriers to that, being able to speak to us about those barriers. We know of some. We have some things in place for some of the barriers. But, you know, if parents are having problems getting them to school, we're trying to figure out what can we do to get them there. Half days. Please don't take half days as a day off. Half days are not a day off. We need our scholars in school. We need our scholars present, and that would help us get out of the partnership agreement that we're currently in. We don't necessarily look at our partnership agreement as a bad thing. Yes, we're having some issues with our test scores, but we have shown growth over the last 2 years that we've been able to show our board and our community. There will be an update with academics, not February 8th, but I think it's February 15th is the regular board meeting. I'm sorry if I'm wrong on that. February 15th is the regular board meeting. Is it the 15th? Okay, so we'll have an update with academics on the 15th. But if I was to say anything, I'm hearing some of the things that I think should be done. Mentorship, that's very important. We're working on safety measures for our scholars, because if you don't feel safe, you're not going to feel safe when it's time to work and do the testing that you need to do. I heard information about mindfulness and things of that nature that we have going in all of our schools, but this is a time post-COVID, post-George Floyd, that things have changed in our world. And if we are not dealing with the social emotional supports that's needed for our scholars, they'll never be able to get out of a partnership agreement that talks about literacy scores and math scores. We have many issues as it pertains to the home structures and things that's going on in homes that's brought to school with our scholars. And so how can you help us? Get scholars to school. How can you help us? Make sure scholars are sleeping at night. Put down the phone, put down the game, just enough for them to be able to be ready to learn and to grow at school. We believe if we can take care of those situations, just get them to us, then parents can really help. Community members can help by getting scholars to school, calling up sister, brother, and saying, nope, why is he at home? He needs to be in school. That is very important. If they're not in front of us, we can't teach them. And so in that community forum, the last thing I would say, when we talk about the partnership agreement, Dr. Joyce, the partnership agreement, we're going to have Dr. Bill Pearson from MDE come. He's preparing some slides, along with the team is preparing slides to discuss what that partnership agreement entails. So that will happen on February 9th, and if anyone wants to meet the folks from MDE, they will be here that day. So you're welcome to come. I think that's it for me, Dr. Joyce.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go down to, I think. Oh, wait, the next item on our list is stewardship of property. And I think that's why some of you are here. With the last board, we had did a workshop. We had put out bids, for properties. We received those bids. And I think I'm gonna probably let Lori, oh, I'm sorry. Did that? Oh, okay. So we had put out about 10 or 12 bids for properties that we was, had put up for bids. Those bids did come back in, and then I believe that the board looked at those bids, and I think I'm gonna let Laura McIntyre kind of guide you into what had happened and what we have decided to do. We have not forgotten about you, but they was extremely low. You can't get a building for $400, but I let Laura McIntyre lead you into that.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. Just, like a brief sort of recap and an update. The first thing I think we need to clear up is that this wasn't an RFP. This wasn't like a put out for bids. It wasn't like we had, as a board, decided here are properties and we are going to sell them. What happened was we were looking at right-sizing the district, reorganizing the district, looking at incorporating the master plan and the strategic plan, and looking at our options. So we had our legal counsel come in, the Troon Legal, to discuss what our options were. And if you remember that presentation, that public presentation, as a school district, we have, and I'd like to start calling it a stewardship. We have public community assets. They belong to us. They belong to the people. This is our school district. This is ours. We have certain properties that we own. And one of the things that I found coming on as a new board member was that the properties that we own are unbonded, which means that we don't have any debt that's tied to them. And according to the Treasury and to MDE, this is an unprecedented situation for a school district to be in. So we are rich in property. But to remind you that of the climate of Michigan, that we had in 2008, the Financial Public Emergency Manager Act that was instated against the will of the people. And one of the things that it can do is it can bring in a financial emergency manager to basically subvert the democratic will of the people and put a dictatorship over a municipality or a school district. So we have this threat that's looming over our head that if we are not, quote unquote, fiscally responsible or viable, and that's defined in very peculiar ways, that we will have someone who's appointed by the governor or by a non-elected board or jury to come in and make decisions. And historically, what we found is that these financial emergency managers in Dearborn, Ecorse, Pontiac, Detroit, Benton Harbor, I mean, the list goes on and on, Muskegon Heights, list goes on and on and on, Flint, is that they tend to privatize community resources and assets and give them away, not necessarily to the best price or the best offer, but basically to privatize public assets and resources, and then we don't have anything. So as a board, we have stewardship over our district, including these properties. And I think one of the things to consider is that this is our generational wealth. I think a gentleman came up here and spoke about the importance of inculcating values to our scholars and to our community about financial literacy, about reading and writing, about media literacy, all these things. Well, if we're not practicing what we preach, then that's kind of hypocritical. We have these properties, and getting back to what Troon legal firm said, that we have the luxury, really, of deciding how we are going to oversee that property, our resources, our assets, the people's assets. We don't have to give away properties to the highest bidder. We don't have to sell or give away at all. In fact, one of the options that we were looking into and are still looking into very seriously is long-term leasing. 50-year leases, land contracts. What we are really interested in is looking at, we retain the property so that we have a portfolio that benefits the district, that makes us more financially secure and stable, and that we oversee or have stewardship of this property, and we're not just giving away our resources so that we just end up with nothing. So that is an option. Now, when we put out bids and we received bids, we got several back, and as Dr. McNeil was stating, there wasn't consistency. There wasn't like a consistency with how people turned in the bids, even though it was all proper and according to procedure, but there wasn't consistency in terms of economic plans, about the type of organizations that would be able to maintain the property or to take custody of the property. And then financially itself, the bids were all over the place, ranging from a few $100s to maybe a few thousands of dollars. What we have on our portfolio, on our property portfolio, is worth millions of dollars. And so, as good stewards of this district, we can't, in good conscience, just privatize those resources and just give them away, even though this has been what the practice has been in Flint when we don't have democratic oversight of our community. So that's just kind of like an update in terms of the stewardship of properties. What we would like to do is to continue to open up this conversation, to bring us all together so that we can look at what we own, what's ours, and decide the best course to maintain that and to actually, make it thrive. There have been discussions of how much it costs to maintain the property, and there's sort of a misconception that that we're squandering money by having to maintain the property and do the upkeep. But I just wanted to give you one example that when we offloaded the Service Center property, we sold it for less than $100,000, which eliminated our central kitchen. The kitchen that we made and produced food and fed our scholars with. And as a result, one of the decisions was that we privatized and sent out to a third-party vendor our food contract. That third-party vendor occupies Northwestern building today, which does not service scholars in an academic capacity. We have a building that we are paying to operate, to run a central kitchen, as well as some maintenance, another third-party vendor. And we spend currently approximately over $200,000 a year just on utilities to run that building so that we can provide a kitchen to a third-party vendor. So for the cost of approximately $75,000, we end up paying $200,000 a year and more. That's just a partial cost. So just to give you an example of like some of the considerations that we have to do, which is why we're looking at the master plan, why we're looking at the strategic plan, why we're looking at the sum total of what we have and figuring out the best uses for that space for our community, for our scholars, and to keep our public schools open and within the jurisdiction of our community, rather than having someone else from the outside oversee it. So we are mindful of our fiscal responsibilities. We're mindful of our academic responsibilities, the partnership with the MDE. We're very mindful and cognizant of the fact that we're avoiding an emergency deficit elimination plan. Part of the financial emergency law is that there are 4 stages to that, and we were on one of the bottom stages of that just until up until last year when we were released of that, because we got our finances into a state where the Treasury allowed us to exit that emergency elimination plan, but it is still kind of like a shadow over the head of the district. We don't want to be in that position again. So I certainly welcome, and the board certainly welcomes, we would like to open this up. So we can take bids, but it doesn't necessarily mean we have to give away the property to the highest bidder, especially if the highest bid is $400 for like 20 acres. We are looking at all options. And so that's kind of where we are with the property update. We would like to continue the work that we were doing in March and on to do community workshops as a whole so that we can look at the reorganization, the right sizing of the district, and coming to a solution that does something now, short-term, mid-term, and then long-term as well. But we've got a lot of work to do. We're finally in a position where the election is over. We have our new board members. We've onboarded the members. So a lot of that structural dysfunction that was embedded through the political process is now we've overcome that. We have to act as a board as a whole So we have 7 board members who are all equal, who all have an equal say. We're all equally publicly elected officials, and we have to come together as a whole and do things according to the law, to the bylaws, and to ethically what is best for our district. Does that about sum it up? Okay, thank you. I just want to mention it so it's on record. Okay.
The next agenda item, Ms. Laura McIntyre.
I'm just going to be real brief. I just wanted this on record because it's something that's been in the works, and I would like to see it move forward. For whatever reason, it just keeps getting stalled or put off. Dr. Calvin Daron Harvell, many of whom you know, he's been in our community. He's a Flint native. Flint. He now is a sociology professor at the Henry Ford College. He still has family in the area, though, and he has a very successful, over the past 4 years, he's developed kind of like what Mr. Robinson's program is on a larger scale, and for the community college experience, what he calls his Kings and Queens focus group, which has received a lot of outside attention and funding, and he is willing and eager to come back to his hometown, to his home community, and share those resources, to share his strategies. He has a blueprint for how to conduct these programs, and also how to acquire funding for these programs, and he really wants to see his hometown blossom and thrive and to lend his resources. I know he's already spoken preliminarily with the superintendent, with Mr. Robinson, with other members in the community, but I wanted to have this stated for the record that he has committed himself to providing himself as a resource. Another thing that I would like to mention just briefly is that this is our vision for subverting the school to prison pipeline, and in his words, this is an alternate pipeline. So this, instead of being a pipeline to prison, it's a pipeline to either the skilled trades. It basically is an empowerment pipeline. He works to bring students to Henry Ford College. We could also probably have a path to the University of Michigan, to Mott Community College, and then what he does is he takes his particular groups and tours the country to historically black colleges and universities and gets 100% of his group placed with scholarships and moving on if they so choose. So I just wanted to state that for the record because I want this to move forward, and I would like us to, we need to do this sooner than later. So thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you very much. Now we're gonna, a lot of the residents that are coming in, they kind of want to know what is the role for the community relation committee when we out in the community. And I'm gonna let Ms. Perkins read what the community relation role is as it relates to our bylaws, and she won't read the policy, but she'll take it over.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad to have you all here with us. This gives me a big boost because we are all dedicated to our community. Community Relations Committee. The purpose of the Community Relations Committee is to review and adopt policies applicable to and oversee the operations of the administrative departments which perform the functions related to the district's family and community training, including the effective operation of learning community and school governance councils, community partnerships, mentoring, after-school sports and activities, the district's communications and information efforts, innovation, support, research, data, collection, and reporting. The administrative liaison shall be the superintendent or the designee.
That's it. Thank you very much. So, as we get close to closing. Superintendent Jones, would you like to say anything in regards to what we just discussed it, or would you like to add anything to it?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. I would like to make a couple announcements. The next Community Relations Subcommittee meeting is planned for Monday, February the 13th at 5:30 p.m. Our meetings are normally on, what, second or third Monday? Which that would make it February the 13th. If something come up, we'll put a note. Keep in mind that the community forum that Mr. Jones and his administration will be putting on will be here at this building, February the 9th at 4:00 p.m. I really encourage you all to come out to that one, because that you'll see a lot of time, we put a lot of work in this previous board. You might hear this thing, oh, they haven't done that in 2.5 years. Come out here and see what we have put together, how this whole plan, maybe you can see your vision in this plan and listen to it from the beginning to the end. And that is going to be February the 9th here at this building at 4:00 p.m. And other than that, seeing no further business, I declare the Community Relations Subcommittee meeting adjourned. And if you have questions, we can be here for you to ask us questions or give us information. The time is, somebody holler out, 6:36. We on time.